MarTechTalk, the live webinar with no presentations, no PowerPoint, just talk.
Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of MarTechTalk. I'm your host, Luke, and we'll shortly be joined by our wonderful panelists for this week. But before I introduce them, I'll draw your attention to the chat icon to the side, as this lets you ask questions, make comments, and generally get involved, so please do. This week's topic of discussion is leveraging AI to drive B2B marketing. We'll start by talking about identifying where AI might fit into your existing Martech ecosystems and campaigns. And then we'll move on to start breaking down misconceptions about AI and ensuring effective use within marketing teams. And finally, we'll be talking about using AI to generate leads and deliver high and visible ROI. But first, let's welcome our panelists this week. When I say your name, could you please turn on your camera and mic? Gayatri, Director of Engineering at Verviba Telecom. Hi, Gayatri.
Hi, Luke.
Marina, Marketing Advisor at Playbook Lab. Hi, Marina.
Thanks for having me here.
Thanks for coming. Akbar, Fractional CMO at Marketing QA. Hi, Akbar. And Richard, Director of Marketing at Verdant Technologies. Hi, Richard.
Hi, Luke.
Nice background. Thanks for joining us. Thank you all for coming. Let's jump into our news item for this week. This will get us started. We've got a story here from McKinsey titled AI-Powered Marketing and Sales Reach New Heights with Generative AI. And one of the big words here is disruption in regard to generative AI, with one study suggesting that a fifth of current sales team functions could be automated. So what are your thoughts on this reshaping of marketing using AI? Gayatri, can I come to you first, please?
Absolutely. I think as the article lays it out very, very well, there are some tasks that can be automated and it can definitely help sales and marketing teams. But again, it's not a magic bullet. It's not something that's going to magically solve all your problems. But definitely a lot of scope for automation and targeted marketing.
So it's not something that can be used alone then?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
So it's not something that would be used sort of on its own. You said it's not
yes,
magic tool that you buy and it fixes everything.
It's something that can assist your teams heavily.
Right. So that are we talking about sort of helping with new clients or?
So let me just then talk about one of the use cases that we have in our industry that it can definitely help, especially in B2B, knowing the complexities. It can definitely help improve the user's level of awareness, bring them to the next level of awareness about your solution based on the targeted marketing campaigns that you run with the help of AI and leveraging whatever data you have from previous engagements.
Okay, thank you. And there's quite a lot of us this week, so I'll keep passing around. Marina, I'll pass to you next. That's okay. And I know you've had a sore throat, so don't feel any pressure to keep talking if your throat's sore.
Thank you, Luke. I appreciate your concern. Yes, still recovering, but very excited to be here. And the article was very interesting because I think there is also a difference between B2C and the B2B application when it comes to AI tools. So more AI-powered tools are used in the B2B space in a more transactional capacity where you can see the immediate kind of impact to the bottom line. But the B2B space is definitely catching up, and super excited to talk more about this as we go through other questions that you have outlined. But I think the biggest one here in B2B for sales and marketing teams is predictive analytics. So if you are looking at large amounts of data for both your sales teams and your marketing teams, generating real-time insights and fast delivery on those insights is key. And I think that's where B2B brands are catching up fast to the B2C space. Right? That's where you can see the biggest probably impact on the revenue for organizations.
Yeah, that's speed for sure. Thank you. And Akbar, can I pass to you next? Any thoughts on the news item?
Sure. So two things came to my mind when I was reading this article. Number one is that today, especially the B2B marketers and salespeople, the challenge that they face is that the data lives in silos, right? So we have been able to connect a lot of technologies together, but the data still lives in silos, and it's very difficult for us to have that insight from 10 or 15 or 20 different MarTech tools to make sense on a singular level. So I think that with the generative AI, that's one thing to look forward to. And the second thing is for me, because of my technical background, I was like, oh my God, we will be stress testing the quality of the data. That to me scared me a little bit, but at the same time, I think here's an opportunity for us to do something great.
Brilliant, thanks. Yeah, I like that idea of it kind of putting the data under the microscope. And Richard, can I pass to you on the news item this week?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one of the takeaways I have is it's very early, and where you see this, this is now and where it's going to be in the next 5 years. Companies need to, I think, look at the skill sets of their employees now, and also marketers need to think about, how do I augment what I do with AI? I need to learn prompt engineering. That's something that should be taught at every school now. But it's so early that I guarantee if you asked anyone 6 months ago what ChatGPT was or where AI is, they have no idea. And I think that most companies are just, well, they're still way behind the curve on a lot of things, but this especially is something that's kind of coming up very quick in that rear view for them. And the skill set that someone may have now is not going to really work in the next few years. So think of it sort of like, I look at sort of like an e-bike. You know, we can still get on a bike and start pedaling, but it's a lot easier when you've got a motor on the back that will help assist you to go faster, further. And those that are all the way back there in the race are the ones that are still on the manual bikes. So marketers need to think of this in AI tools, not just ChatGPT, but others as well, as that extra motor that's on their e-bike to help them go faster, further, and a lot easier.
Yeah, fantastic analogy. That's great, and very appealing, and it brings us nicely into our first point about identifying how to bring that AI on now, how that can fit into existing marketing ecosystems and campaigns. And Gayatri, if I could come back around to you for that point, that would be great, please. Oh, I think you're on mute there. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm gonna continue with the first point I made earlier. Especially in B2B marketing, you are dealing with people from a lot of different verticals, a lot of different geographies, even within the same organization. And you're also dealing with people who have different level of awareness about your solution. So some people may be fully aware of what you're trying to offer, and some people may be completely unaware of your company as well. So I think prospective buyers here are at different levels of awareness. And with leveraging AI, we can effectively share personalized messages. So we can basically graduate them from one level of awareness and bring them up to the next one. So this will help sales teams to reduce the longer sales cycles that we see in B2B space, because now the decision making might be faster because now the users have a better understanding of your solution even before they interact with the sales team. So I think that is one way where AI can very well fit in the B2B landscape, which is to improve the level of awareness and meet the user at their level of awareness and bring them one step up.
Excuse me. I know yesterday you were talking about sort of how that can work both for existing clients as well, for expanding, but as well as for new clients.
Yes, that is correct. Because within the same industry, people are aware about most of the solutions. So yes, it can work for both the scenarios.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you. Marina, can I pass to you next, please?
Yes, fellow marketers have been discussing this for the past, I'd say, year, right? Years, 6 months to a year, of where best to use AI tools in our marketing and sales journeys. And the idea that I keep going back to that resonates usually is that don't use AI tools for the sake of using AI tools. Like that can lead to distraction, it can be costly, right? And it's just also a time suck. It's fun, don't get me wrong. We've all been playing with a variety of tools that are, some of them are pretty affordable out there, but I'd start understanding where the gaps are in your sales and marketing process, right? So identify like what is the low hanging fruit that you can quickly automate, or you can have AI powered data tools that you can implement fast for this kind of quick wins. And it can be both on sales and marketing side, so it's not necessarily just siloed in the marketing organization, right? But generally, where I see the biggest application is, again, it's the function of it is the data, processing large amounts of data. And I don't necessarily see AI taking on, taking the jobs away from my creative people or copywriters anytime soon. But we definitely see a great application of using AI powered tools to process large amounts of data. Akbar was saying how, the data silos are pretty still common within organizations, and seeing how we can, how you said, I like the terms of pressure test that, and see how we can get more insights out of that. And not kind of forgetting the insights part of it, right? So the point here is to deliver something you can act on, that the humans, your teams have to act on, right? And the outcomes still have to be like valuable outcomes for your customers. People can see through some of the AI generated messages really fast these days, right? So that's not necessarily resonating. And if you're still putting your customer at the key focus of what you're doing, that should still kind of be your kind of the golden North Star, whichever tool you're trying to implement, AI or not.
Nice to hear that humans are still needed, but that data is more important than ever. And I'll pass to Akbar after, because I know that you were talking about data and you have that background to sort of expand on that a bit.
Well, what can I say? It's all about garbage in, garbage out, right? It's exactly what it is. So I think it may sound a little drastic, but without the proper data, the proper governance of the data, the proper clean data, the proper the right way to manage the data. Without that, I think that AI will be pretty much useless, right? Because you need to rely on the right information in order to produce the right output, right? So that, I think, and that's why I said that we'll be stressing out the data, right? The world of data for us. Just so to kind of, when I look at my clients today and see where we can really use AI, right? Based on where we are today, right? We're still in very, very infancy of it. The three features of the AI, right? One is about the discovery of information. One is about the reading in of the information from the other sources, and the third one is really like the ability to reason, right, and to synthesize, right? So they are really like the crux of the AI. I think the one place that that we can use fairly immediately, and that will require some help from the vendors out there, right? All the MarTech and the sales text vendor, is really the top of the funnel is the hyper personalization. The second one is really like the next generation account qualification and deal support. Just imagine if if we had like the SDRs on a call and they had a live coach that was responding to the conversation that was happening live. And the third one is really increased funnel velocity, right? Using the real-time decisions to support the micro conversions, if you will, right, in the sales cycle. So So those are the three areas where I think the AI can be used today.
Brilliant, thank you, Akbar. We've got a few questions coming in from Craig, and I've seen them, Craig, and I'm going to come back to them. I'm just going to let Richard address this point, and then we'll come back around to those. So if I could pass to you next, Richard, please.
Yeah, I'd like to follow up on what Akbar said. I think that there's a really great application for using AI in that SDR point of when it becomes a marketing qualified lead, the sales qualified lead. In some organizations where I've been in, we've had too many leads to be able to handle. So you've got to figure out a scoring method for that, a lead routing map that you know who's going to get what and where based on that. I think AI can take that piece of the SDR pipeline and start communicating with those leads that are coming in to pre-qualify them. Are they really a human, or is it a bot maybe in the future? How big are they within our ICP? And if so, then this is how it is going to be, basically like a point guard in basketball. This is who's going to get the ball now, because this particular account is one that's in our wheelhouse. For me, it's also, when I look at account-based marketing, getting to the point where over the last 15, 20 years, the technology has gotten so good, we can do ABM one-to-one, ABM one-to-few, and ABM one-to-many, and have that different level of personalization and also reach. Now with ABM, we have the ability to get the reach now because of the technology that's already here, but the AI is going to come in and get that personalization that you typically see at the one-to-few or one-to-one level now into more of a one-to-many level. So the more mass amount of accounts that we're going to be targeting, we'll see more relevant advertising, marketing content that's going to be geared toward them. And I think a lot of the research also can be done in advance. So looking at ABM again, getting to understand those accounts as if they're already a customer of yours, it's a really big thing for a marketing team. And a lot of that goes onto the junior marketers. So now this is, again, back to the e-bike. You've got a tool now that can really accelerate how they understand that account in advance and more of a mass scale, to then create with AI more personalized, relevant content that may trigger that nerve for that account to then contact you.
Thanks, Richard. That's really helpful, and it actually links into to Craig's question. So I might keep you on for the next one if that's okay, because he's asked about scaling up to the larger scale you're talking about, and he said, what are the best practices for conducting pilot projects or small scale experiments to test and evaluate the impact of AI within your current marketing ecosystem before scaling up to larger initiatives? So I don't know if you can address that, Richard, please.
Yeah. I think because it is early again, there's also policies that have to be put in place. There's data and trade secrets that can't go into AI right now. So there has to be at some level in an organization, someone that understands, and maybe this comes from legal or wherever, that will essentially tell the marketing team what you can and can't do when it comes to AI, because there's certain information we just don't want it out there. Or if you use it, create the guide within ChatGPT, for example, so it doesn't go out into the broader learning. When you do the smaller test, try it out, obviously, with I think more, what I like to do is more within your own customer base first before it goes out to those that are non-customers. Smaller things, depending on what you're going to do with it. It could be, in the situation that I'm in, it could be making a customer journey email, so that if anyone comes in at a certain point at any pages, we could have it pre-built so that it triggers automatically. We would rather test that on people that we know and that we work with, but obviously I think at the end of the day, most of what we're going to see is something that has to be verified. So your marketing team is going to publish or use AI to publish something, but it has to be verified before it goes public. And that's where I think some organizations, even lawyers right now, are having a hard time understanding that this thing, no one knows how it actually works, okay? And even they'll OpenAI, we don't know sometimes, or Bard even. So you have to really kind of maybe trust but verify. Maybe not even thinking about the trusting side of it, because what goes into it is based on millions of pieces of data. So you have to fine tune it into a way that it really only looks at what you want it to look at. The worst thing you could do in marketing is if you rely on it to just do whatever you think it will already know how to do because it's the smartest thing in the world. And let's say that they take some copy from one of your competitors or something that's already out there that's being used on something that's copywritten. You're in for a world of trouble. So I think back to the policy, you really need to have at this point an AI policy for employees to know what to do, what not to do, and to create those guidelines now, because it's only going to get worse.
Thank you. Yeah, really good example. And to think about these problems before they arise is, another one of the big challenges here. Brilliant. Thank you. Can I pass on to you, Akbar? I might just work back around with this question if you guys.
So from the best practice perspective, I happen to have run about 3 projects so far right now. And it's not a holy grail, but what has worked for me and my clients is really there are these 6 steps, and I think you touched on the policy already, so I won't. The first one is that you need to identify a technology czar within the organization, somebody who's more like a research-oriented person, because you're going to need that. You need to have somebody who's thinking just like beyond say 1 or 2 applications. The second thing on the best practices that you have to define the objectives, exactly what you're looking to get out of this pilot project, and keep it small, right? Here's we want to test your ability to say no. Okay. Then you want to limit the scope, obviously. Of course, we talked about the policy. The 5th one is doing a simulation. Before you open it up to the customers, you want to do a simulation as well, because the customer's time is very valuable. We want to make sure that we've thought this through. And number 6, right, to go to the customers, but select the customers who have the propensity to help you grow, right? Because they have the vested interest in you growing, so then in turn you can help them grow as well. So those kind of strategic customers will be ideal. Say you limit yourself to 5, right? So we've done it with 3 or 5. So what that allows you to do is to use the results of the simulation to showcase it to your customers. I'm sure that there are many ways to do these pilots, but this is what I have seen that has worked for us.
Thanks. Yeah, that sounds safe, kind of keeping it in a virtual environment. Good advice. Marina, can I pass to you for this one?
Yes, thank you. I think the key to success here safely, right, as Richard was saying, is to start with a small control group. At least in my view, some of the projects that I've been involved with lately with my clients, it's starting with a small pool of people, whether it's your customers or your prospects, and testing, right? So there needs to be still a human going through some of the results or some of the messages that the AI-enabled tools are personalizing for you, right? But the application where I see it the most right now in this kind of test unique environments is usually scaling the personalization on the top of the funnel. So getting the insights from whichever platforms you're using in your tech stack, trying to understand buyer behavior and trying to communicate with them in a more hyper-personalized way at scale, right? So which means you start with 5, 10, 20, whatever that kind of your risk appetite is right there. But you test and you come back to it and you make sure it's safe, it's reliable, and then you can start investing in some of the more creative tools that can do it at a larger scale, maybe that can provide you a little bit more of a comfort zone there. The other interesting application that I saw lately was the bottom of the funnel as well. So sales enablement is a big one. And granted, I'm more in tune with that space lately, especially. But there are some interesting tools that I saw people are testing on the market. And that's an easy one to do because it's easy for a human, a sales rep, to read the insights that are coming in live during a sales call or a demo presentation, for example. So they can navigate that a little bit easier, right? So you're not necessarily just throwing that unchecked at your customers or your prospects. So some of the examples were surfacing interesting stats or customer stories through the AI tools during the presentations. If somebody says the name of a competitor or a use case of the product that you're trying to pitch, follow-up steps as well for sales enablement, and that's where kind of marketers come in as well, like oh, well, we will host an event in your geographical area next month. Why won't you join? And that's something that AI enabled tools can feed into your sales reps presentation. So that's another like safe-ish one, I would say, where you can start testing. And again, it just depends on your application, where the kind of the pain points are that you're trying to solve for, whether it's top of the funnel, mid, or the bottom. So you start there.
Brilliant, thank you. Yeah, nice, safe kind of sales environment to test it, and the point, I think I'll draw back to that point that you made there about not investing until you've done a bit of testing and then looking at the tools that you can buy. It's a good point. Thank you. And Gayatri, is there anything you want to add? There's a lot been said there.
Yes, actually, a lot of points were covered. Just one point I wanted to add, and Richard touched on it, is making sure that the data that goes in is your data and you're not accidentally disclosing anything that's not to be disclosed. I think that's extremely critical. You don't want to disclose any kind of trade secrets to and add that as your data. So I think that's one safety mechanism. And definitely, we are at a phase where we still need some human validation to have more confidence on these tools. So at the early stages, I believe the messages, it's better that they are validated and tested internally even before rolling it out on a large scale.
Certainly, yes. Thank you. And I noticed, Craig, you've asked another question. Thank you. But I think you guys have mostly covered off that, because it's about integrating AI into the tech stack. And I think if you've got anything more on that, Craig, just let us know. But I think everyone sort of touched on that answer. So I might move us on to talking about misconceptions of AI. And Gayatri, if you could carry on into the second section, I'd appreciate it.
Sure. I think we're talking about B2B before I get to the misconception, because B2B and B2C are way different ways when it comes to marketing, because we have the data availability, the user touch points, the longer processes, legal contracting processes involved are huge. So AI is not going to magically shorten your sales cycle. It's just going to effectively help your teams to come up with better strategies with available data. But it's not something that's just going to make the sales cycle maybe, let's say, 75% shorter. I think that's a misconception. It's we'll have to learn as we implement a new tech stack here. So I think that's the first misconception that I can think of.
And I mean, you're talking B2B specifically here, because
yes, because the sales cycle is way longer in B2B due to different stakeholders involved and the process and red tape itself.
Okay, thank you. And Marina, can I pass to you for your experience of misconceptions around AI?
I think the first and the more widespread one that I had to deal with is that, now robots are going to take over and robots are going to be talking to our customers and prospects, and we will be just sitting there and collecting, bottom line revenue that will come in from it. Like, that's not going to happen. And I think people can see through the robotic messages that some brands are trying to experiment with, right? So there's an expectation and then there is a reality. And I think for us to set the expectation that some of the simpler conversations and transactional conversations that we might want to automate with our customers and prospects, like chats and AI-powered chats, right? That's okay. And I think general public has that expectation that, oh yes, I think I'm talking to a chatbot. That's okay. But best-in-class marketers and marketing organizations are still in the business of creative storytelling. And I think marketers should still embrace that part of their job, right? And the best-in-class marketing organization would definitely embrace AI-powered tools, but still keep in mind the outcome that they are trying to achieve there is how to effectively communicate to their customers, create those stories, creative stories, and not be distracted by the noise of AI tools that can, yes, it's great to adopt. Yes, it will increase your productivity. But the goal here is to be better, to level up, right, your marketing game, and not necessarily just make everything super efficient and not necessarily that compelling.
Yeah, this focus on making more time for yourself to be able to get more creative, to focus on the creative side of things.
Exactly.
Right, lovely, thank you. And Akbar, can I pass to you, please?
Sure. So in terms of misconceptions, actually three come to mind. So I'll try to move a little bit faster with that one. So number one, people think that really now that we have the AI, that's the holy, that's really the holy grail. We can just copy and paste stuff into it. A lot of marketers and salespeople are using it to write their emails, and I think that is very dangerous to do. It's not the holy grail. The second one, I think that this is a huge fear as well, right? That my job will be replaced. I think that we are starting to live in a world where human professionals will be truly empowered by the by the AI. I don't see, not anytime soon, not in my lifetime, the robots actually taking over the world. What I'm really worried about is humans becoming more like robots. That's the scary part for me. And the third one, because I do a lot of coaching to students who are about to go off to college, there's a misconception that I don't need to have a 4-year degree in order to be a very successful um, um, professional. Uh, but I think what's important to understand is that for us to be able to take advantage of these tools, really advanced tools, we need the foundational background which is necessary. We need to truly understand how to take advantage of that. So those are the three misconceptions. Um, those are the three misconceptions I think that may lead to some really dangerous paths down the road.
Thank you. Yeah, looking ahead, keeping education at the front. Thank you. And Richard, can I pass to you?
I think one would be that it is somehow cheating to use tools like that. Yeah, I wouldn't write a blog article, but to create an outline of potential blog article ideas, or if we're building a pitch deck, to use AI in some way to incorporate some of the language within that. I think you'll, and also I think the other one goes that people aren't using it. They are. Everyone that, especially in marketing, should be using it, and I think a lot of them are using it. So what's real and what's fake? But I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I encourage it. I have my daughter in high school. I encourage her to use ChatGPT actually for her papers. And I hope her teachers aren't listening. But one of the skills that I've taught her is how to prompt engineer so that she can get to a point in her writing that it looks, honestly, it looks grad school level, obviously, but you don't want that. Because it looks like it's cheating them, but you want to capture the essence of what she's trying to say. And for a lot of people, it just makes it a lot easier to get that message across. But it's the skill of prompt engineering and fine tuning it and riding the horse is going to become the skill. So in a way, is it better to have somebody that knows how to do that, or someone that still can write amazing on their own? I think it's a little bit of both, but I wouldn't discourage people from using it. And I think that you'll see that more and more people are using it and faking it in a lot of ways to make it look like they're not. But I think one of the misconceptions would be that to back to what everyone's saying, it's going to replace jobs. I think it's going to increase the amount of jobs and in a lot of areas for people to know this skill set, and it's happening quickly. But it may not actually require all of the coding skills that you'd normally have in technology, but more of the skills that you learn through a 4-year degree by having a more broad education and understanding if you're going into marketing or business or finance, but really understanding all of that so that you can get into a position with AI and understand what to prompt it with. Where if you didn't have that degree, to Akbar's point, you wouldn't know what to ask it or how to prompt it the right way.
Yeah, as a tool, a new tool. That's a great way of looking at it. Thanks. It reminds me of Apple when they launched the iPhone and the App Store, and it just changed the way software was created and shared, and it exploded, right? But you still couldn't do that without education and knowing. Well, you're talking about not knowing code, but yeah, in that instance you would. But yeah, great example. Thank you. So yeah, that brings us to our last point, which is the bottom line, I suppose. How to use AI to generate leads and deliver ROI. So I'm going to come back around to you for this one, please, Gayatri.
Sure. So I'm going to go back to my lead qualification example. I think AI can greatly help in lead qualification, especially in the B2B space, because there's a lot of public information available. Now, for an instance, let's say you're offering a SaaS product. There is information available from the shareholders meeting. There is information available from their quarterly financials. There's information available on recent acquisition. Sometimes even what kind of spend the company has for last 5 quarters, 6 quarters. And based on that data, AI can help you qualify the leads. And what that will enable is, so your sales and marketing teams can focus on the leads which have high probability of conversion. And with that, you can see higher conversion rate, and in turn the ROI can be definitely maximized if we utilize AI for qualification of the lead at the beginning. So I think with the qualification lead, for the qualification of lead, one can create a scoring mechanism based on AI, and that will help with the ROI and the conversion rates a lot.
That's great. Yeah, right from the start, getting right to the end a lot quicker. Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. And Marina, I'll pass to you next.
Yes, completely agree with my fellow panelists here. And another big one, big application that I think I touched on earlier today was the AI-powered intent data. So marketers started using large sums of data in the process, buying some fancy tools to process this large amount of intent data to spit out to the sales reps or to your marketing functions to do better ABM or to be more informed when surfacing not necessarily just one-to-one content, but one-to-many. And I think that's going to help that particular function and task become more mainstream, which is great, right? Because the quality of some of the data is just not that great still, unfortunately. And it takes a lot of kind of combing through and kind of, again, pressure testing that data. And there are more and more applications now that plug into Google Analytics that can then plug into your CRMs or marketing automation systems that holistically can deliver better quality intent data for sales folks and the marketers. That will be a game changer. And going back to sales enablement as well, not to forget about that. That might be a simpler application of AI tools, but it's definitely where you can see and feel the ROI the most as of today on the sales teams. When you as a marketer can effectively deliver the content that your people are producing into your sales hands at the right time, during the right sales stage, or the right time of the conversation during that demo, that talks volumes, and that definitely can be connected to ROI pretty immediately.
Yeah, lovely. Thanks. And like you say, you get results straight away there to then feed back in and continue to grow. Brilliant.
True.
Yeah, Akbar, can I pass to you next?
Yeah. So let's talk about like specific use cases. I think that would make sense a lot to kind of to bring them live. We talked about the intent data. I think that is brilliant, but it has a long way to go, because today we're just basing it on the keywords and the actions that the people are actually taking, right? But there's a lot of intelligence still out there. Maybe the non-actions, or maybe the actions that are not so seemingly trackable digitally, right? So if I went on to like a trade show, right? But the buying process is complex, and I think that AI can really help us here. When you have, like, on average, your buying committee is 11 people, and total 22 people throughout the life cycle, and they move in and out of the team, that's when I think we can really help to hone in on when to respond to whom at what time with what content, right? Like you were saying. The second one is definitely the account planning, right? In the ABM strategy, that seems to be the bottleneck today. The third one, I think that it's the lead intelligence, right? The behavior integrate. It's taking what we have today and multiplying by 1,000, right? So I can tell, when in real time we need to make some changes to how we're actually going to market or how we are dealing with a specific customer. The final one that I think where we can really use, and that would be like behind the scenes for AI, and that is the funnel analysis, right? The win-loss analysis or the reverse funnel engineering. That's how we measure the ROI and the metrics as well. So I think that would be the fourth one that I can think of.
Brilliant, thank you, Akbar. I don't know if that's left anything for you there, Richard.
I think a lot of what Akbar said is on point. I'd love, and Marina as well, of course, Gaiter. What I would love to see, though, is better tools that come out that have AI built within them, or some of the tools that we currently have, and I know they're racing to do this, include more AI. When we look at building account-based marketing programs, the first thing I start with is the list, understanding the customers, and building this customer-centric approach. What we do, though, is using AI to build out that ICP list by tiers. And in some cases, we've got thousands of potential accounts globally that we could be targeting. How do we know where we're going to spend our money the right way? And that comes down to using AI to help us slice and dice those lists. And then, to Marina's point, how do we capture that intent data and connect it into the AI tool for us to then understand that this ICP that we thought was a one to few is really more on the bottom of the list. The intent's not there, and those that are on the one to many are maybe bubbling up, or we got it wrong. We didn't have a one-to-one that we thought was the big whale to catch, and man, we were off on that one. How do we know that without having all of these different sources of data coming in and filtering that through? And then when we decide that ICP list, understanding those accounts inside and out. And that's where, the tools now, they do help to some extent, but a lot of it's still manual. It would be great to just use Excel or whatever. We just have a list of 50 or 100 accounts, and it goes through and combs everything it could about those accounts very quickly. So things like Terminus, demand-based, 6 Sense, those will be having more AI tools baked within them to get that account intelligence. And most of that is manual, and pulling that stuff out with junior marketers doing that work. All of this could be done by AI under the direction of the junior marketers, not to take their jobs away. And then using that data in a way to get that real-time intent data, understanding maybe someone just got into a new position or someone left a position within those accounts, and how we can address that almost in real time. And I think that's where AI being baked into a lot of these tools will make a huge difference for marketers, and it's still early.
Indeed, it is. Yes. And that leads us on to our final question about it being early. Should everyone be using AI right now, or is there no rush to adopt yet? I'm just going to go around each of you and just either now or no rush, please. Gayatri.
Definitely now.
Now? Okay. Marina?
You should start experimenting with it now.
Okay.
See where it does the most.
Thank you. Akbar?
Use it, but very carefully, and you have a responsibility to serve the research community back with what you learn.
Nice. And Richard?
Yes, and with caution.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. And thanks to all our guests as well. We'll be back next week on Tuesday, the 4th of July at 3 p.m. BST, where the subject is boosting customer engagement, monitoring and analyzing user behavioral change. So for now, have a great week. Thanks, everybody. Goodbye.